Kick it.
We are good, Dale.
Hey, everybody, it's Dale Jr. here for Ask Junior, a great segment in the Dale Jr. Download podcast presented to you by Xfinity, a proud premier partner of NASCAR. And hope you guys got a lot of great questions. You've been sending them in every week to @Xfinity Racing on Twitter. And Leah has been, sifting through them and pulling out some of the good ones. So we're going to do that again. It's my favorite part of the show, getting to interact with our listeners live. You cannot beat it. So let's get started and see what you got.
Our first question's from Matt Reed. With all the debate between 550 versus 750 packages, road courses and short tracks versus 1.5 milers and super speedways, what constitutes a great race to you? Is it action-packed, side-by-side racing through the whole field, photo finishes? How do you know if you've seen a good race?
That's a pretty good question, man. Well, let's be quite honest. If your favorite driver wins, that can be by multiple laps or by a nose. If your guy wins the race, you're going to be happy. So, there's days when I walked away from the racetrack thinking I had a great time, saw a great race, even though maybe the race itself wasn't full of action. And I think that what constitutes a great race is not side-by-side. It's not tons of passing. It's not a dominant 7-second win. It's none of those things. What constitutes a great race to me is moments. Does the race have emotion? Does the race create emotion? Does the race bring me to feel something? So, we went to Martinsville a couple years ago, and Denny Hamlin and Chase got into it, and I really don't feel anything for either one of those drivers. I don't cheer for them. I don't wish they lose. So what I'm trying to say is, it wasn't about, I didn't have a driver in the game. I didn't have someone I was pulling for. But what happened between them and how that all played out was exciting. And I was like, my goodness, let me watch this. This is interesting. This is awesome. And you could feel the racetrack and the energy in the grandstands. Everybody felt that way. Everybody was riled up. And I thought, this is what we should be, producing every single week. How do we get this? How do we get this everywhere we go? It happened at Bristol. We had moments in that race. Harvick and Chase getting down into turn 3. Chase coming out and taking a swipe at Harvick as he passes him to get his lap back. Chase, manipulating the race to allow his teammate to pass Harvick. Harvick, after the race, slamming his helmet. The conversation that they had and them going into the holler, the mystery of what they talked about. All those things, drummed up some sort of emotion in all of us. And that's what, to me, makes me want to come back to the racetrack. When we go to a short track and you show up at a local short track, you got the hot shot veteran that's been running there forever, and he has a rival. Maybe it's a young kid that's come onto the scene that he's trying to teach a lesson. But whatever it is, all right, whatever the rivalry is, they get into each other. And every time that they get near each other, there's going to be something. And that's why you keep coming back. You'll come back the next weekend to see those same two guys possibly get back into it and duke it out. And a lot of these little short tracks around the country have that very thing going on. That's what is great about racing. It's the rivalries. It's the emotion that it drums up out of us as viewers and fans. And it's not necessarily about what the package is doing or what the cars are doing or how the cars react to each other or whether there's a lot of lead changes or a lot of side-by-side racing. Those things are going to help because they're going to put the drivers in those positions to create those moments that are going to create that emotion. So that's kind of what I think of when I think of a good race, because I'll be honest, it's been hard for me to answer that question using only statistics or only a visual. I can't say to you, man, you know what I can't say to you passing, or I can't say side-by-side racing, because I see a lot of side-by-side racing that's kind of boring, not exciting at times. And it's there's also been enough time has passed over the last couple of decades, and we all say, man, it used to be this, it used to be so good, it used to be blah blah blah. I feel like that's the way we are always going to feel, right, about the past. It was always better, when truly the racing today is just as good statistically, just as exciting, just as full of statistics, league changes and side-by-side racing and all that. So I like it. I have to say that the good racing really lays on the shoulders and the responsibility of the drivers and their ability to go out there and give us moments. And it's got to matter to them. They've got to want to do anything to win. And they got to be willing to do anything to each other to win. And so, we think about some of the key moments of the history of the sport that you love. I like the 1987 All-Star race. Think about all the moments in that race, all the contact, all the frustration, everything Dad did to try to win, everything Bill Elliott did to try to win, the conversations and the interviews afterwards, the anger and the frustration and the tone of the voice in those interviews. Those are the races that I like. Can't have that every week, can't expect it every week, but that's what makes this sport, that's what makes you go back. That's what makes you keep coming back. And so, and that's why I love the short tracks, because they tend to produce those type of moments more often. That's why I think, our series would be beneficial to add more short tracks, is because that seems to be where the drama is found the most. Everybody's gonna have a different opinion about this. I don't know that mine is correct. I don't know mine is right. I'm open to listening to anyone else who thinks that they know what constitutes a good race.
Next question from Daryl Montgomery. Why doesn't NASCAR allow teams to run tire pressure sensors? Seems like it would be a lot safer to know when a tire is going down.
Yeah, I don't know if that's... I don't think that's quite as important. A lot of times the tire's going to get a puncture and the driver's going to know it. Or it's going to happen so fast the sensor wouldn't have done you any good to begin with. I think there needs to be a better. I think there needs to be, or could have been, a better way to understand a loose lug nut, or a wheel about to come off the car. Hopefully, the new one lug nut rule is going to alleviate a lot of that problem. But I think over the years, man, when those wheels come off, those are some hard hits. And I've experienced that myself, and the frustration that you feel over that is pretty bad. But so I think it would have been nice to have had some sort of technology and development in that to be able to keep, to help teams and pit crews and drivers and everyone understand and eliminate some of that, the loose wheels, loose lug nuts, and things like that, vibrations and problems that come from that.
Next question from Justin Petrie. What was the best racing advice you ever received, and who gave it to you?
Man, that's a good question. Technically, this is how you drive this track kind of advice. I mean, probably my best advice both came from my dad, but the only time he really ever told me to drive a racetrack or how to drive a racetrack was at Bristol. We went to Bristol, and I'd already raced there. I think I'd raced there. I don't know if I was running the Cup Series or the Xfinity Series, but I get there, and I am way over my head, and I'm trying way too hard. I have no clue how to get around this racetrack, and I'm driving the car way too deep into the corner, and I'm ruining every corner I go into, and my laps are just not good. And Dad got on top of the truck and got on the radio and told me where to lift. And so I'm driving this car, and I come off the corner. I'm in the gas. I'm going down the straightaway, and I get to the flag stand, and Dad says lift. And I can go quite a ways further in the throttle. And I've been doing that, right? And I'm like, why lift here? That seems so weird to lift this early. I can absolutely go further into the corner. And I'm like 30th or something in practice, 2/10 from probably what the car can do, which is a lot at Bristol. And he's like, lift at the flag stand. And I said, all right, I'll do it. I'll lift the flag stand. And as soon as I go over the crest, I lift at the flag stand. No brakes, really. Not a lot of brake because we're lifting so early. And I crest over the hill into the corner, and I start to land. He goes, get back in the gas. And I was like, whoa, this is way early. I was like, man, I was getting into the gas way around the corner because I was driving in so far. I was unable to get in the gas any sooner. But I'm going to get in the gas here. There's a whole lot of corner left. But I get in the gas, and man, that car just wrapped right around the corner and popped back up off the exit up on the next straightaway. And he's like, as soon as you get up on the straightaway, you go just a few feet, and you're already halfway down the straightaway. Lift. And I'm like, holy moly! So he took my throttle points and backed them around the racetrack. So I was lifting sooner, but getting in the gas a whole lot sooner. And my lap time came right to me. And, so I started applying that thought to Martinsville and other racetracks that we would go to. And that was the most specific advice that Dad ever gave me about driving. He never, ever got that detailed again. But the most broad advice that he gave me, which I would give, works for everyone. It works everywhere. It's really the first rule of driving a race car. And it's the exact same thing he was trying to tell me at Bristol, and that's slow down to go fast. And when you're up on your toes trying to work, you have a tendency to fall over, to fall on your face. You got to be calm. You got to have your feet planted, and you cannot be rushing what you're doing. And so a driver's tendency when they're first getting into racing and first getting into driving a car, once they get brave enough, right? You're timid, and you definitely you don't go out there and just go crazy. But once you get brave enough, you start to try hard, and you start to try too hard, and you start to drive the car too deep into the corner. And that's always going to be the absolute worst mistake that you can make as a driver. And when you can understand that backing off sooner and getting on the gas sooner is going to be the best way to get around every racetrack you go to in terms of oval racing, when you understand that and that starts to sink in, you start to apply that on the racetrack. That's when you start to have success, and it's better on the tires, it's better on the brakes, it's better on the car, it's better on you, it's easier to do, and it's the way to produce the best lap time. And so, trying to figure out how to, trying to tell a driver to slow down to go faster is kind of the first real hurdle to get over once you get brave enough to start really driving the car and trying to muscle the car around the track. And so that was one of the things we talked about early in my career, just overdriving the car. You're overdriving it. You're driving too deep into the corner. I'm like, well, that's what you're supposed to do. I want to drive in deeper than anyone else. That's how you win. No, it's not. When you drive in too deep, you're going to go slower because you're not going to make the corner. Your exit's going to be worse. Your next straightaway is going to be slower. Then you're going to overdrive the next corner, and you're just going to keep compounding this, making this lap worse and worse. And so, that was kind of the one thing you learn right out of the gate. And then we went to Bristol, and the reason why he got more specific with me at Bristol is because overdriving the car was so easy to do, and what I would how I had to underdrive it was so profound. He didn't think I would ever discover it on my own. He had to actually teach me, like, this is going to feel like you're lifting way too early, but this is the best way.
Next question from Levi Widener. What are your thoughts on the potential Portland race? It's been in the rumor mill.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, kind of we've been out there before. Well, I don't even know what shape the place is in. It's a road course. Yeah, I don't know. Doesn't do anything for me. What do you think, Matthew? Yeah, that's the way I feel. Yeah. So I'm kind of, it doesn't do anything for me. Now, if you're out in Portland, you're excited about this, I'm happy for you. If you want to go to the racetrack, you're thrilled that they're coming there. That's a good thing. That's the whole point. But for me, it's just adding another road course, and we've added a lot of road courses over the year. All these other ideas, the Coliseum, possibility of a street course somewhere like Chicago, all those things are. We had Phelps sit down here over 12 months ago.
Yeah, it's about a year.
And said we're getting back to we're going back to what helped us get to where we are, right? We're getting back not to our roots, but we're not gonna try to reinvent the wheel. We're not gonna try to. I took it as we're not gonna try to introduce a lot of new. We're gonna try to bring back some of the old that and that made me think, okay, well we're gonna maybe introduce a couple short tracks. We're gonna do less mile and a halves. We're not gonna try any kind of new gimmicky thing, right? But it just seems like that there's a few new gimmicks coming down the pipe. Anyhow, not to say that the Coliseum thing won't be great. It's an it's an exhibition. It's a test. It's a try. It's a short track, which it's extremely short, but it is a short track, so it should be pretty aggressive. What will the driver? It will be really on the driver's shoulders. So when we go to the Coliseum race, that working or not working, I think will be the responsibility of the drivers, right? They've got to go and they've got to want to duke it out. And I think that's what this is. I think what the Coliseum idea is to try to force them into a position where they have to fight it out. And so if they're willing to go push each other around a little bit, that'll be a pretty fun deal. But I'm not interested in road courses all that much.
All right, guys, that's all we have time for today.
All right, man, that's some great questions. It really was. We got a lot of hard hitting questions there for some great listeners, and I enjoyed it. What did you think, Mike?
I liked it. I had a lot of other questions that I had out of your answers, to be honest with you,
really?
But we'll save that for another time.
We need a longer podcast. We need a longer Ask Junior.
I know. I got some good ones.
There's some good
for everybody
ones.
on the YouTube chat, I do save your questions, so we will try to get to them at some point.
Yeah, good point.
Well, those were some great questions. I know there's some great concerns too of all of our fans out there in the NASCAR world, and it's the future is interesting. It's going to be interesting to see where we're going over the next couple of years, and there's a lot of new ideas on the horizon. But Ask Juniors, presented to you by Xfinity. They're a proud premier partner of NASCAR. They do a lot for our show. They also do a lot for the sport, and we're very thankful for them. And keep sending your questions in to Xfinity Racing on Twitter over the next week. Leah will be answering them, and Leah will be putting them together for us so we can answer them. And you guys have a great week. We got Robert Presley on the show, and that's going to be a lot of fun. He was in one episode of Lost Speedways in Season 1. Really a fun character, and I can't wait to get him in the studio to be able to talk to him and see what all he's got going on. Pretty honest guy, so I'm sure he's gonna tell us all the goods. But you guys take it easy.